Welcome, everyone, to Food for Thought Leadership, a podcast powered by the Food Institute. I am so thrilled today to be joined with Mike Messersmith. He is the CEO of Lasso. Mike, the last time we connected for an interview, you were leading Oatly's US launch, which is no small feat. And it was a massive effort that really helped reshape how Americans think about alternative dairy. So now that you're at the helm of a new company as CEO, and a company similar because it's looking to redefine what's possible in food. What lessons or perspectives are you taking from your experience at Oatly and applying to your new role?
Yeah, I think that there's kind of two areas. One, Oatly was just an incredible journey for me, coming from having the very first carton of oat milk in my backpack, going to coffee shops all around New York City with our really small team, making the first oat milk lattes of the US and training people about the word oat milk and things like that. So that journey was just above and beyond anything that I expected in terms of growth, creation, acceleration, all of it. And I think that the two parts that I as I left that journey and I took some time off to reflect on what I wanted to do next, I think two parts really stood out to me. One was the magic of creating something that was really new. And you go to these trade shows, Fancy Foods, Expo West, the Super Bowl of natural foods, even NACS for convenience store snacks or the Candy Expo. And I do think that there was a moment, and I reflected on this even last week, of the early trade shows we did with Oatly, of people trying something for the first time and just getting those mind expanding, I don't want to say mind blown, but it's that emoji of the little brain exploding sort of, product experiences, which when you're trying to build something is really special. That's the goal.
And there are similarities between Oatly and Lasso in that they're pioneering kind of new ventures, right? So let's talk about Lasso in the conversation around ultra-processed foods, which has exploded lately. You and I have discussed that it's kind of the only common ground that Americans have right now is ultra-processed foods are not great for you. So from your perspective, what does a new standard for processing look like, and how is Lasso shaping this?
Being concerned about ultra-processed foods and chemicals and binders and nutritional content in our food actually is one of those issues in 2025, which is just stunning. And so I think that, we approach this as there's a spectrum of our food system. And, we felt this way with Oatly in the dairy industry as well, where, not all dairy is bad or, challenging dairy. I mean, there is absolutely incredible local dairy farmers that are pursuing incredible environmental and sustainability processes, that are working ethically, that are making incredibly high quality product. What we sought to push back on Oatly was industrial dairy that is having, creating inferior products and really, creating these just giant environmental and sustainability effects. I think we see the same thing in food, where the reality is that we live in a world where, gosh, if you have the ability to grow your own food, homestead your own produce, pickle your own food, they're great. I love that for you. But everybody, the world of processed foods includes both neon green beverages and, chock full of sugar, Hostess cakes, but also if you have a protein smoothie from a super high-end grocery store, that protein powder was processed as well. And so what processed food looks like is a big sliding scale. What I think consumers want, and that when we've looked into it and we've talked to consumers and you do the research on it, is that I do think people are really looking to start to question, why does this artificial sweetener, this red dye number 5, these binders and gums, and why is there so much sugar in all of our food? And can we do it better? And they're craving better options in those processed foods, where you still want the convenience of being able to buy it at your local grocery store that is affordable to shop at. Yet you also want to ask, are there higher standards for what this food could deliver for what I buy and what I pay for it with my money that I'm increasingly having to stretch in new and interesting, challenging ways in 2025? And can the food that I buy have more nutritional content? Can it have more protein? Can it have more fiber? Can it be made of ingredients that I might have in my kitchen, even if I'm letting a food manufacturing company put it all together and deliver it in a package to me at the store? And so I think that, unfortunately, big food companies and a lot of, the food industry, we're really hamstrung, and your hands are tied behind your back because you're making your food on these giant machines that were developed 100 years ago and are kind of industrial Play-Doh presses, pressing ingredients together at high temperature, high pressure. And there's a real need in packaged food for new technology and new means of production for making delicious, nutritious, affordable food. And that really was the opportunity I saw with Lasso first on our board and what our team and our scientists had created, that, wow, I think this really could tick the box of what people are looking for to be able to deliver on cleaner label, more nutritionally advantaged food, and be able to bring something really innovative to market.
And to set the stage, because we haven't really defined what Lasso is. So for those who are unfamiliar, a new food tech venture, walk us through how this Lasso SpinTech actually works and what makes it different from traditional processing methods. You have described it as an advanced cotton candy machine. What's the most surprising thing this machine can do that current food processors can't?
Our team, the business was started by 4 incredibly gifted scientists working together at a lab at Harvard University in Cambridge. And they were working as kind of applied physics, applied biosciences, working on incredibly innovative solutions in textiles and pharmaceuticals. And in that lab, they were using this machine that was basically like a cotton candy spinner. So if you've ever been to a county fair, you see that they pump a solution there and out spins these fibers, and you come out with that neon pink spun sugar on a cone. We could take the principles of that and use it to make really delicious food. So the machine itself, like I said, and I've described, and this makes it easy because it's hard in like technology. I think it's hard for most people to even imagine how their food is made, that these giant machines and temperature and pressure and water. The machine is about the size of a washing machine. It looks like a magic cotton candy spinner, where we take ingredients, like dry ingredients, thinking about making brownies or a cake is always a good metaphor of we take a dry ingredient mix of proteins and dietary fibers, like a cake mix. We add water to turn it into something that's consistency of like a protein smoothie, which is our ingredient kind of like batter for making things that is all protein and fiber. We then inject it into our machine, and it spins at an incredibly high rate of speed, and out come literally miles of edible kind of fibers that then are collected and aligned, and we can use that as like a dough to make just about anything. And so the magic of the machine is basically replacing kind of lousy chemistry with groundbreaking physics. Because what the machine does is basically take that protein and the fiber at like a molecular level and weave it together. The way that gets done outside of our machine is you have to use kind of like food glues, gums, carrageenan, oils, sugar. That's how it gets the protein and fiber to kind of hold together in your food, so it doesn't all just crumble apart, right? Whereas we're using an actual physical process of weaving these proteins together with the fiber to create a line structure without having to use these chemical binding agents that nobody wants in their ingredient deck. And so out comes this beautifully nutritionally dense, high textured product. And we can then use that. We can bake it, we can shred it, we can season it. And we're using it to make protein chips and fruit snacks. We've historically used it to make plant-based meat and alternative proteins, all things that are really full of protein and fiber that everybody wants, that are clean label, that don't have any of the chemical binding agents or anything like that, have incredible texture, so you get crunch and sensory experience in your food. And because the machine is small and super efficient and uses very little water and electricity and all these other things, we can make it really affordably. And so when I was thinking about, when you see like the magic of what can create something really different and innovative, I have never seen anything like it on the market in any of my travels on food manufacturing. And so it's really special. And we're trying to create some really interesting products, both in our company and then working with partners using it.
Yeah, certainly. And especially because there's such a wide range of food that you can create. Fruit snacks, you mentioned chips. So getting on that point, you mentioned Lasso can use nearly any ingredient combination. So how might this flexibility reshape how CPG companies think about sourcing, formulation, or even waste reduction?
That's been one of the pieces that I've found as I've been working in CPG, friends that have worked in the industry, you're trying to build these products is, are you really hamstrung? Like, we love this product, but it has to be done with this very specific type of protein, or if I don't have this ingredient in it, the whole formulation falls apart. We have worked with over thousands of different ingredients, a wide array of protein sources, wide array of fibers. So the platform itself is extraordinarily flexible. The two things that allows us to do, one let's just talk about protein, because I think we're still in a golden age of protein consumption. You walk through the grocery store or just do any shopping today, it's protein everything. Protein in your coffee. There's soon going to be protein in your soda. There's protein in your bread, your pasta, your chips, everything. Can't get enough of it. Now, what is the implication of that? Well, one, we're actually entering into some pretty interesting territories about whey protein, which is the primary source that people use for most of the protein type products that you buy in the grocery store, where the availability of whey protein, the cost of whey protein is going up, up, up. And so you're going to need to explore alternative protein sources to be able to make food affordable, even just to be able to make the food at any cost. So we need to be able to work with a wider array of proteins. Now, unfortunately, the prevailing food manufacturing systems on the market, again, done at really, really high temperatures, work well for certain types of proteins, but there's really new and novel proteins on the market, like a mycelium mushroom-based protein, that when you actually process it at those really, really high temperatures, it breaks down and denatures that protein. And so existing food manufacturing technology is incompatible with a lot of the more novel, nutritionally advantaged, sustainably sourced proteins, bioavailable, affordable proteins on the market. And so we believe that our platform technology can allow us to access new and exciting sources. Secondly, we've had a lot of conversations both with companies in the United States, but also abroad. And we live in a time, particularly in the 5 years past COVID, and now we're in a time of a lot of reshaping of global trade policies and economies where those countries are looking to do more local manufacturing and be less dependent upon importing, packaged foods from other countries. Singapore, I think, has publicly talked about their desire to source upwards of 50% of the food requirements for their people through domestic manufacturing. Now, our process, because it's so flexible, we can make a formulation for a product in the United States, and there might be a local consumer preference to use chickpea protein, pea protein, whey protein, all good. But when you start making the product in a different market, they may say, boy, economically, and even just consumer preference-wise, we might want to use soy protein because it's more affordable. It's more local, regional supply chain based. And so our technology can allow a wider array of applications that can allow countries, both the United States and globally, to kind of remake their food supply chains to meet their goals on trade, food policy, and on-sourcing. The last one that's pretty cool, and we talked about something simple like fruit snacks. One of the big advantages and exciting things that we've discovered over the past couple months is boy, it's a really hard time to be a farmer under tremendous amounts of pressure, trade wars, weather, interest rates, all those things. So how can we work with agricultural suppliers to allow them to turn cost centers into profit streams? How can we help them to diversify their businesses? We've talked with farmers that lose up to sometimes 20, 30% of a fruit harvest, for example, because they can't use those berries in time, or they're yellow, or they're somewhat ugly, and they can't put them in the container that they go sell in the grocery store. And there's only so much fresh frozen berries that you can sell. We have found, because of the ingredient flexibility of our platform, that we can take those kind of fruit streams that otherwise might go to literal waste, which is such a shame, both just on the merits of like food availability, but also like it's a cost to that farmer that they're having to bear to dispose of and process the fruit that they're not able to use. Can we take those and we grind up the berries, weave them together with protein and fiber to make a really reimagined, berry fruit snack full of protein, full of fiber, without having to add in extra sugar, that's giving you texture and taste and deliciousness. And that farmer might be able to sell that under their own brand, or they could take that to the retailer that they sell all their berries to and say, hey, we have this incredible product. And now you've got something that is using my agricultural output. It's shelf stable. It's, getting into a whole new line of business for them. And they're able to take something from a cost waste stream into a potential diversified business product stream. And I think that those types of discoveries that we've had, which are enabled by the underlying technology and our flexibility, are tremendously exciting for our team, and part of the reason why we're so bullish and optimistic about what we can create.
Well, it sounds like there's no shortage of opportunity just from a domestic standpoint and internationally. There's a lot of use cases for Lasso. So tell me about the recent raise, about $7 million. Where are you prioritizing investment here? Is this R&D, manufacturing, partnerships, brand building? What are your thoughts?
Yeah. So fortunately, our team has worked incredibly hard we have a great base of investors, many of whom have been with the company and on the journey literally since it was an idea on a benchtop lab, a benchtop in the lab at Harvard. And so they have seen the whole journey and are just, super committed and enthusiastic, which is obviously the dream for any CEO, entrepreneurs, that you have those investors who just see the promise and are willing to go along with you on the journey. We've made tremendous progress on, the technology itself is scaled, reliable, ready to deploy, which has been a big lift over the past couple years of how can we increase throughput so we can get our cost in line? How are we ready that it can plug into a manufacturing environment and we can make food to sell? And so this raise is really about commercializing, the full potential of the applications that the technology holds. And so as part of it, one of the things that we did is, the company was started as a plant-based meat application, which is Tender Foods, which we love that product. Trickier time in the plant-based meat segment right now with a lot of headwinds that they're experiencing. And so the major focus of this raise was, let's introduce the concept of the technology kind of holding company platform, which is Lasso. And then let's launch and demonstrate new category applications for the technology into snacking, into candy, into pet, where we can show that the technology is not just a single application use through plant-based meat, and allow ourselves to demonstrate commercial applications and viability into larger growing segments, both with own brand launches, which we're on the cusp of here in the next month or two, of launching some of our own brands, which would be really fun. And then also through partnerships with large and small companies who want to use our technology to make brands under their own kind of company strategy.
So can you give us a sneak peek of the soon to be announced brands that will be launching under Lasso's SpinTech?
Absolutely. So this is the most exciting, part for me. I love brand building. I especially love, I mean, we talked about it earlier, of those early days at Oatly, of how do you introduce something new to the market and try to create discovery and trial for something that's pretty novel. It's the most exciting part in these companies. And so the big focus for us over the past several months has been pioneering these applications that we think are really, really interesting, especially in categories and product types that I think are really changing in the grocery store. And people, again, that intersection of what does the technology stand for? Like, people want more nutritional content, they want more protein, they want more fiber, but they're not willing to put up with the sugar, the gums, the binders. And really, like, that's the tension that I see in CPG, of like kind of the competing Venn diagram of the tension and the opportunity is this protein everything. How is that accomplished without having to be able to rely upon kind of like old processing, old ingredients that people are just really fed up with? That's where we think we can really create something magic. And so we've got one of my first jobs in CPG was being brand manager of Doritos at Frito. I love Doritos. My favorite brand ever. Literally my favorite
It's
consumer
amazing.
packaged.
I grew up on Doritos. Anyone who says they don't like Doritos is lying.
They're lying. And also, like, there is a correct answer about the best type of Dorito, which is nacho cheese, red bag. If that isn't
Cool
your answer,
Ranch.
you're wrong. Well,
Cool
I mean,
Ranch,
this
yeah.
is kind of point. So we embrace debate. I'm going to say, like, I am a true believer. And so that segment, as people have been looking for, you could call it permissible indulgence, you could call it the effects of GLP-1s and kind of health maximization trends. Like, how are people putting protein into things like salty snacks? So I love salty snacks. It's like, I am a salty snack person. Give me it 10 times out of 10 versus a sweet snack. And so we have some really exciting applications and something that's like a high protein chip that is, for me, perfect whether I'm like watching a basketball game or watching Below Deck. Is the perfect kind of like snack where I feel like I'm having something that's filling while also not just completely derailing my health plans and diet plans. We have a ton of parents on our team. I mentioned fruit snacks some. A lot of parents with little kiddos on their team, and they're constantly looking for what is something that I can give my kids that I can feel really good about. And we talk a lot about that journey for them, in the car with a kiddo in a car seat in the back seat, and fishing in a side pocket by the door, digging in a center console, like a tiny bag of Cheerios, so many goldfish crackers. How can we give something that is like delicious, meaning like, will my kid eat it and enjoy it? And also that I can feel good about giving it to them with the ingredients that are in it, and maybe even just like a bit of protein and fiber to keep them full and like running and playing longer, rather than just being like sugar and empty carbs sort of things. And so we think it's both a great opportunity, but also is a total passion project for the team on how can we try to apply the technology to make a really, really special, tasty, filling fruit snack that like we think kids will love. We also think parents will absolutely eat 10 bags while they're like waiting on the playground for their kids to play as well. And then look, I think beyond that, like we have to kind of take it step by step. We're not a big company. We were super fortunate with a fundraise. We just have to be super disciplined of kind of earning beyond that. But I think I look across the store and cross categories at things that I think could use a different solution. And we love snacking. I love things. I think that, there's a lot of people trying to do protein and fiber candy, both kind of confectionery and chocolate. And, you're doing it with tools that don't really allow you to. And I think we could do it different. I don't have any human children, but I have pet children, and I have a fuzzy 70-pound golden retriever who eats better than my wife and I do. And I would love, you're seeing tons of stuff in pet and premium pet right now, really kind of calling out the food processing and talk like it is absolutely a trend in fresh pet food and premium pet food, talking about gentle processing. And I think that our technology has a ton of applications in pet, both dog and cat, food, treats, even like supplement stuff that I think could be really, really interesting to explore. We have to there's no shortage of ambitions. We have to take it step by step. But I think in the next couple months, we're excited to bring a few of those snack food products to market and then announce some partnerships here in a couple months too that we've been working on for a while with some other companies.
I have a hunch, Mike, that there's going to be no shortage of unicorns that come out of Lasso. I just have a feeling. A lot of pioneering categories.
Like that's like one of the coolest parts about, I mean, you build brands and you feel like you're in competition with other people. And I of the other people in the space, I would love, but you talk about, boy, if there was a incredible, and I've had some of these talks already with founders, with big CPG companies, where I try to put myself in their shoes of like, could we find a way for me to let you use this technology that we built for you to go build something incredible? And, where you get something that is differentiated, ownable, special, you get to pour yourself, your brand resources into it. Lasso can be an enabling, facilitating technology where I get, I don't know, whatever it is, 10 cents on the dollar, 15 cents on the dollar of like, for the ability to like give you that like boost. It sounds a little bit, I've watched, everybody's watched a lot of Shark Tank. I don't want to just say, oh, it's a royalty structure, but like, can we give people a jumping off point for them to be able to walk into their retail partners and say, we already have this incredible thing, but let me show you this that you're not going to get from everybody else. And here's why this is special. And that would be such an incredible validation for us of the idea and the technology for us to help other really highly motivated, inspired entrepreneurs to create something special under their own brand. So we hope so. That's the goal.
I love it. And what's the big dream for Lasso? So what does success look like 5-10 years from now? I feel like you're building the next rocket ship.
I hope so. I think that like there's nothing like I grew up in Northeast Pennsylvania, near the town of Wilkes-Barre, in a small town called Dallas, Pennsylvania. The biggest goal, like what drew me to CPG and why I love like affordable, accessible brands. And the big, appeal for me with Oatly was not necessarily, I loved it when we got into Starbucks. I loved it when we got into all these incredible specialty coffee partners, Whole Foods, Target, all these other ones. But we got into a Weis market in my hometown of Dallas, Pennsylvania, where my parents shop. And that for me is when you work on a brand, especially when you come from kind of a small town in Northeast Pennsylvania, when you finally work on the brand that like it shows up on the shelves and like your mom's able to go there and be like, oh, like that.
My son did that.
really feel that, Yeah. And I love grocery shopping. It's my favorite thing. I do all the grocery shopping for my family. And so the dream, there's like business, performance, investment goals for Lasso. I think that I would love for Lasso to contribute to creating new innovative food that shows up on people's shelves that really helps set, honestly for me, is like a bit of a new standard or a new frontier in like actually innovative food products that isn't just, a thing, but a spicy flavor, or this, but 10 less calories, or this with 2 more grams of protein. Like that is, almost by definition, incremental innovation. And I think that we're at a moment where people are really craving more. And there's so much stuff that's changing within our food system. And I don't think you can even overstate the impact of how GLP-1 protocols, how people's access to information that they're getting from podcasts and Reddit and influencers, and really shaping the way that they eat is flowing sometimes at a glacial pace through the food industry. But I honestly think you're going to start to see, like, the issue is that the companies want to move faster, but you're really hamstrung by the machines that you're making the food on. And so the dream for me, and I'll know that like this will be like, man, I'll high five pretty strong when we get there, is when I go with my parents grocery shopping in Dallas, Pennsylvania, and go to the Weiss Market on the Back Mountain Highway, and we see, and it doesn't even have to be a brand that we launch. I mean, that would be really cool. Like maybe one of the brands we launch, 2 months from now will be on shelf there. Also, equally exciting for me would be a partnership that we sign with either a startup or even a big CPG company, that all of a sudden they have like some new product on an end cap at that grocery store. You take it off the shelf, you turn it around, it says powered by Lasso on the back, but it's their brand that's like killing it and like getting all this shine. And like, wow, like now we've used this tech to actually create something that is, creating impact in food and CPG. So that's the dream.
I love it. It all comes back to your hometown.
Yeah, absolutely.
All goes home. Well, thank you so much, Mike. It's been an absolute pleasure. I love catching up with you, and I'm so excited. I'm rooting for Lasso and excited to follow the journey.